All right. All right, we're gonna go ahead and hit that live. And we are live. All right, Shpelly, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining. Are you at least 18? And do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I'm 26, and yeah,
You think you could give me a good reason?
yeah.
Cool. What is that reason?
It may not be good to you, but I think the good reason is that if we're wrong, then we have a lot to risk, and that if we're right and there is no God, then it's nothing anyway.
Which God are you talking about?
I mean, any God, any higher power, but I believe in the Christian God. But I think that if you can build a higher power in your head, it can be substantially useful to your life.
It can be. I'm not denying that it could be useful, but that doesn't mean that's a good reason to believe it, right? Because I can do the same thing with a pink unicorn. That'll be useful. But my main issue, which what you're talking about before, was that's just Pascal's wager, isn't it?
Can you explain Pascal's wager to me? I'm a little uneducated.
Pascal's wager is basically that same thing. Like he asked that question of, you should rather believe than not believe. But the problem with that is that there are multiple different God concepts. You don't know which one of them was going to be right. Like, for example, you believe in the Christian gods, but if I were to convert to that, according to the Muslims, I'm wrong and I'll be heading to hell. According to the Jews, I'm wrong and I'll be headed to their version of hell. According to the Hindus, that'll be wrong and I'm headed to their version of hell. Which one is actually correct? That's the entire issue. That's what Pascal's wager is all about.
Wow, that's a really good explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, not wrong.
So like based off of that, I mean, you really wouldn't have any good reason to believe in God ever. So I mean, you could just sit here all day and hear a bunch of bullshit, right? And like you're never gonna really come to that conclusion unless you yourself come to that conclusion. So it's kind of just a waste of time.
I would say that if someone were to give some sort of evidence, then yeah. And it's not a waste of time for me because I like to do these and I like to normalize people who look like me who are non-believers.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like,
so in that, my only argument for that would be Timothy, where in the Bible it talks about how Timothy had to see the hands of Jesus and had to see the holes to believe, and he needed evidence. And it says that it's better for those who believe and don't see than those who do see and believe, because their faith is more genuine. So I mean, I guess if you don't have faith in the context, and there really would be no reason to believe.
Is faith really a virtue though? Is faith like useful?
It's only useful if you yourself say it's useful.
I mean, I would say this actually. Let me correct myself. Not that it's useful. Does it actually? Is it actually? I don't want to use the word useful. Can it actually
substantial?
Not substantial. Yeah, actually, yeah, substantial. Can it actually get you to the truth? Is faith useful to get you to the truth?
Well, it comes down to the thing. If you've seen something and tried to explain it to somebody else, how could you explain it to them to where they believe you if they don't see it?
Right. Exactly.
There's no way. It's a foolish game trying to do that.
What I'm saying is that it's better to have evidence if you saw something, right?
Yes, well, obviously.
Right, cool. So, but the thing is, what I'm saying is that the reason why I say faith is not very useful or substantial is because there are plenty of people who had faith in ancient times, right? The Egyptians had faith that the sun was a dude with an eagle for a head rising in his bed, but that's not true, is it?
Well, yes, but you're coming to the conclusion that all faith is useless based off of the faiths that were useless. And for me, real quick, for me, it's like, is it possible? So for me, it's like those people were putting their faith in the wrong thing, or that just wasn't fate. But there's plenty of times that people have put their faith in stuff and it has worked out, but it doesn't mean that it was God in that sense. It just means that it was fate and it was always going to be like that.
Right, which means that faith is essentially a coin flip, which is
yes, for the person that doesn't have substantial evidence. So for somebody like me who does have substantial evidence in my own conclusion that I'm not able to prove to you, I am very sustained by my faith because I have seen continuous evidence of it. But that came with a cost. It came with a price. It wasn't just free. I didn't just wake up one morning.
Here's the problem. If you cannot prove it to me, then you don't have substantial evidence. You have hearsay.
No, that's what I just said. I said based off of my own conclusion. Sorry, you have to listen to the context of what I say. I said based off of my own conclusion.
What I'm saying is that if you simply say this is my own conclusion and it's evidence enough for me, that's fine. But that's hearsay. That's not really evidence. That's not substantial evidence.
But in my universe as well, that's the same argument you're giving me.
We live in the same universe, my guy.
No, I know, but I'm saying in my own perception, the way I view the world, you are giving me the same argument against what I'm saying that I can give against yours.
I'm not giving an argument against you. What I'm saying is that you have a position, and I'm saying that, okay, what is the evidence to fill your position? And you're saying, oh, well, it's just my opinion, man. That's not substantial for anything.
Well, yes, that was the conclusion of what we were talking about. But the whole objective was that faith was useless. And I said it's only useless if there's no evidence for that person.
It's completely useless because faith is not evidence.
But it's been very useful for many people. There's plenty of evidence for that. You can to do many things. I mean, people had faith that they could build the B.A.A.S.H Khalifa. And it was very difficult.
That wasn't faith.
Yes.
They believe they could do it. Architecture doesn't take faith. Architecture takes math.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're right then. Is this all this is going to be? Is just I'm wrong, you're right?
It's not going to be an I'm wrong, you're right. We're just having a discussion. Like you obviously understand that architecture is a thing, right?
No, I agree with you.
Right. So building the B.A.A.S.H Khalifa is not something that was based on faith. It was based on math, architecture.
Well, I just was saying that somebody believed that it could be done, and it was very difficult to build, and it got done. So I believe that takes a matter of faith that it was going to happen.
It's not about believing it could be done. It literally could be done because we have the materials for it. So they knew it could be done. We just have to figure it out. Same thing with space elevators. Space elevators are possible to do. We just don't have the technology for it.
That's just a mindless way of thinking to me. I think it's a lot more extraordinary than that.
It's not a mindless way of thinking, bro.
In your opinion, yes. I mean, this is a discussion.
Hold on, but listen to
a discussion, right?
This is what I'm saying, Shmelly. When it comes to the B.A.A.S.H Khalifa, what do we need to know for us to build the B.A.A.S.H Khalifa?
Well, that's like just one out of 1,000 examples.
I got you.
It was just a hearsay.
Let's just take that example. If people didn't just sit back and say, wow, I really believe I could build a big tower and run out across their day, right? What did they do to actually build it? They said, we need materials, we need manpower, we need the certain mathematics to make sure that the base doesn't swing, the wind doesn't swing too hard and the top, falls over the base. All that takes, certain stuff like trigonometry and all that good stuff.
We already know this.
Right, exactly. Yes. So what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is that faith is not substantial to build anything, to do anything. You need something else. Because if I had faith that I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow, am I going to be a billionaire tomorrow?
Well, like I said, it's up to fate. It's not always substantial based off of the circumstances.
I need you to answer my question. If I have faith right now that I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow, will I be a billionaire tomorrow?
Sorry, I thought I answered it with what I said, but the answer was no.
No, exactly. So what do I need to do to make $1 billion?
Well, what I believe is that faith without works is dead faith. So if you don't put work towards your faith, then you're never going to have anything.
Exactly. I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing. I agree with that. So that means
you
that
agree
faith
with something biblical.
Yeah, there's lots of things in the Bible that I could agree with. Like thou shalt not murder, I agree with that. That doesn't make that the Bible is substantially true. There are things that I agree with. Like it does have good lessons. Like I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm saying is that, yeah, faith without works is dead, which is why I'm saying that you don't just go off of faith on things. You need something else. Always.
Well, yeah, you need to actually see that it's going to be worth it. You need to make sure you have the materials and the actual things. If you're just going to go blindly, then yes, you can expect nothing.
Yeah, you actually have to do something. Agreed.
Yeah, I never said you didn't.
All right, great. So that's what I'm saying. Faith is not substantial for anything. You need more.
Well, I just disagree. I mean, it's just a discussion, right?
You just said that if I have faith I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow, it will not happen unless I do something.
Yeah, but that doesn't make faith useless overall.
It is. It's basically useless.
Faith is the substance of things that are believed in and not seen.
I know.
So if I believe that I'll have a baby and I don't see it, and then I go and I put in the work to have a baby, and then you say that faith is useless, but yet I look at my son. So it doesn't make sense.
Did you actually do something to have the baby?
Yeah.
There you go. Your faith didn't make the baby. Your faith didn't make the baby. You did.
Okay. Well, what about the times I failed?
Then there was just an issue. There was just an issue. Either it was the wrong ovulation time or something else.
I think that it's up to fate. I believe in fate. I believe that everything happens for a reason, that everything's going to happen the way it's going to happen, no matter what we do about it.
I don't know what that means.
It's quite simple. It's preschool. You're very smart. You can easily grasp your mind around that.
No, I have no idea what you mean. What do you mean by
that? Okay. Well, I honestly came up here with pure intention. I'm just trying to discuss as well as you, but I also don't think that you have the capacity to understand even the basics.
Okay, so you think because I disagree with you, I'm stupid?
No, okay. I'm saying that because you asked me to understand what I just said and it was super basic, that was my conclusion based off of the evidence.
No, what you said wasn't basic. You put a bunch of words together, but it didn't make sense to me. That's why I asked you, what do you mean by that? You understand that you can put words together and they could make sense to you in your mind, but I'm not understanding what you're trying to put across. So when I ask you for clarification, that doesn't mean I can't understand you. That means I need clarification.
Well, I've been talking the same way this whole time and you've been answering me. So I figured you would understand.
That last sentence you made, I didn't understand what you meant.
Okay, well, can you repeat the last sentence to me?
No, because now we're so far off of it.
Okay, so you didn't really care, right?
No, I did actually care. That's why I asked you, what do you mean?
If you cared, you'd remember, you'd know.
That's not how that works, bro. That's not how that works.
You can't defend an argument where you don't know what you're talking about.
305-787-5641. Can you repeat that?
065-587-7641.
I said 305. Exactly. So that's what I mean. Just because I didn't remember what you just said.
I'm not trying to argue the point.
I understand that. I'm just trying to demonstrate something.
I'm trying
to demonstrate something to you. Just because I don't remember what you just said doesn't mean that I don't care or I wasn't listening to what you just said. What I'm trying to get across to you is that your last statement that you made, I did not really it didn't come across to me. So I'm asking you to
maybe it wasn't important then. I don't remember it either because it wasn't important to me either. I honestly thought to myself, okay, he's going to get it. He's going to answer and we can move on. And it didn't happen. So then I forgot. And I was like, oh, it really wasn't that important.
Yeah, it didn't happen. So I was just asking, hey, what do you mean? I didn't understand what you meant by that. That's all I was asking, bro. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be any. Some things Smelly, hold on. It doesn't necessarily have, because listen, I want to have a genuine conversation with you, right? I'm not trying to gaslight you or trap you or anything like that. You don't have to do all this, bro.
I don't believe you are. I never said that.
All right, cool. So when you say I don't have the capacity to understand you, why be rude? I just didn't understand what you said.
You're gonna take that as rude. To me, it wasn't rude. Just like how you can't understand.
Saying I don't have the capacity to understand.
I can't remember what you just said.
Saying I don't have the capacity to understand.
I know.
Saying I don't have the capacity to understand is very rude.
I understand that, and I'm sorry. I didn't know that was rude to you, so I am now saying sorry. But in the moment, I didn't think that was rude because on my own mindset, that's not rude. That's just me being honest.
No, it's rude.
Okay, well, it won't happen again then.
I agree. We have what else you want to talk about? You have anything else?
I believe that the best reason to believe in God is your own security, knowing that you are well, and I have a peace about me where I just feel secure. And I believe that there's many good reasons. I could sit here all day and give you 100 reasons, 500 reasons, just all the good things that we have in life, even though we're suffering. If God was all bad, then we would not have anything good. We would not have love or peace or any joy or anything to smile about. It would just be bad all the time.
Not necessarily. Can I have peace and love without believing in a God?
Well, where does it stem from? That's what I wonder. I wonder where you can get.
What do you mean? Sorry, where can I get son? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I just wonder where it stems from. Like, I wonder where we can get that if there's no God and there's no creator or anything. Like, how do we come up with consciousness and all that? Why aren't all the other animals driving cars and conscious and doing stuff we're doing? Why are we the only species that is at this level?
Well, when it comes to human beings, like we we evolved in a certain way for us to exchange information the way that we do, and we were able to have like think abstractly in certain ways. But that doesn't mean that other animals don't have consciousness, right? Other animals do know what they are and even who they are. Yeah,
you know how? Ever since the beginning, animals, they already knew what to do.
Right.
They already have it instinctively. Like they just know. Like the bird doesn't have to even worry.
Smelly, hold on. Like, sure.
Is it not spectacular to you at all?
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to answer you. When it comes to other species of animals, they are taught things, right? Like they are taught things by their parents, just like how we're taught things by our parents.
I told her to stop it.
But what about the original parents?
What do you mean the original parents? Like you
so like imagine millions of years ago, right? Like the first bird or the first fish or whatever. Like how did they know?
There was no first bird or first fish. Like
okay, well then where did everything come from? Where did everything stem from then, according to you?
Oh, like
was it bacteria?
Like the universe or life?
Just life in general, like how we got billions of trillions of different species of insects and mammals and sea life and everything just out of what?
Life very very likely started from single cell organisms in the ocean.
And then they just kept making penguins and elephants and whales.
Well, penguins didn't pop up in the record until about I think 500,000 years ago. So it's all about like evolution, right? Like evolution is population genetics and changing on allele frequencies over time.
Where are they?
Hey, bro, do you want to go ahead and come back later? And because I know you with your son now.
I can listen to you and listen to my son at the same time. I'm very good at multitasking. You're talking about how little tiny bacteria made its way across the universe somehow and made elephants.
It's not what I said.
You know, made everything out of nothing.
It's not what I said.
Oh yeah, oh you're right. I wasn't really paying attention. I'll just go back in there time. It's useless.
All right, cool. You want to come back later? All right, guys. He's gonna go ahead and come back later. Hey, y'all, appreciate all y'all being here. If you want to talk about what I have on the board, go ahead and come on up. I do appreciate y'all. If you're watching me over on, sorry about that, guys. All right, if you're watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction, the link is pinned. We can go ahead and have that conversation. If you're watching me over on Volcy Thoughts, once again, link is pinned now. You could see it in the comments. And if you're watching me over on the Deconstruction or my channel, Black Atheist Coalition. Sorry about that. If you're watching me on Black Atheist Coalition, the link is pinned. We can go ahead and talk as well. If you just go ahead and come on up. I did have another guest. I was going to get to you, but I'm not sure what happened or why you dropped. But y'all, shout out to everybody who's in the comments. Hey, Lords, I appreciate you so much, Lords. Thank you so much for being here in the building. Key, thank you so much for being here in the building. Aaron, shout out to you, Aaron. I appreciate you being here in the building, Aaron. 50 is a new 30. Hey, damn right. Because, man, listen, I'm in my late 30s and people still think I'm 20. So my 50 is gonna be amazing because I'm gonna look super young in my 50s. But y'all, once again, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Love y'all for being here over on Deconstruction Junction. If you would like to talk about what I have on the board, go ahead and click on that link, tiny.cc/Volcy Thoughts. It is right there in the comments. Let me see if I have any other guests right now. I do have one more guest. I'm going to go ahead and bring them up. Give me 1 second, guest. I'm bringing you up right now, all right? There it is. All right, we have Tenement coming up. And Dr. Glam, go ahead and come on up. Let's go ahead and talk about that. All right, Dr. Glam, go ahead and come on up. All right. Tenement, how's it going, Tenement? Are you at least 18? And did you want to talk? Do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, bro. I'm like your age, 39, close to 40.
Cool. Do you think give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, bro. Because we black, right? And the feds got this thing called the pre-crime checklist now, where if you have any type of anti-Christian sentiments, they put you on this pre-crime watch list, bro. I thought it was bullshit because my boy told me about it, and I went and looked it up. Come to find out, they did it again.
Yeah,
now we seriously under the microscope. So I guess since this dude, Charlie, whatever his name is, got on alive, they've been on some stuff like, oh, well, we got to get out all the rhetoric that's anti this and anti that and anti this. So, yeah, just be careful as a black man, yo, because they on their shit, man. Just remember that.
Oh yeah. No. You're right. We got to be on our P's and Q's. We got to be on our shit. I do agree with that. I wouldn't say that that's a good reason to believe in a God, but that's just a good reason to be vigilant, right?
Yeah, bro. Because it's like they trying to ostracize certain type of thinking out of society. Don't you see somebody's putting a lot of resources behind keeping a narrative at a status quo? So what you think gonna happen if you come and rock the boat?
Oh yeah, they could come after us. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have to be careful. This is what I would say, right? Black people living under this certain regime, we have to be extremely careful because we see what they're doing, right? They're trying to take us back to Jim Crow, or at the moment we're at Jim Crow 2.0 already, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I understand we have to be careful. We have to be vigilant. We as black men, let's go ahead and protect our families and our community. Let's protect the black women. Let's protect the disabled. Let's protect our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. We have to go ahead and protect them as the leaders of our community if we're going to be the leaders, right? So like 100% agree with you there. But I'm more talking about
I'm saying, think about it. If you come and say that I don't believe in God and the Bible is fake and church is a scam and a hustle and the pastor man drive a tax-free Benz, right? They got a pre-crime database to put you in, bro. Like, yo, what the? Nah, bro, they went too far now, bro. This is crazy, bro.
No, I agree with you. Right now, the regime is going crazy, and we do have to be careful. I agree with you there. But I'm going to go ahead and get someone else up because this is more about religion than it is about politics. But I do appreciate you being here. Not a politician. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put some more time on the clock because I'm going to go ahead and bring up Anderson to the stage. Anderson was here yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and talk more with Anderson. Anderson, how's it going, my friend? You did say to me yesterday that you are at least 18. Too bad we didn't get a chance to talk too much yesterday. You said that you're at least 18, and what is a good reason to believe in a God?
I guess, yeah. Hey man, how you doing today? Right. Yeah, I guess I kind of wanted to come back and kind of maybe this is more of a maybe intellectual interest type of thing. When you say give you a reason to believe in God, like, are you asking a reason, like real evidence to suggest that this being exists, or more like a practical reason why, if whether God exists or not, it's not relevant. It's just if you want to live a certain type of life, that may be a good reason. I'm just trying to understand like where your question is coming from, or if you're talking about more of a good reason to actually believe that God exists, regardless of if you just want a good reason because you want to live a good life, regardless if God is like a
real or not. I would say I lean more towards the first, because when it comes to the second, we can live a type of life without believing in a God in the first place, right? So it's not necessary for you to believe in God in order for you to live some sort of moral, good, righteous life that has drive, purpose, etc. So it's more along the first line of it than the second.
Okay, I guess, would you mind if I try to persuade you? Again, I don't know if, like, I don't necessarily buy 100%. Again, it's just more of an interest. Would you mind if I try to persuade you along the first line, or would you like me to just stick to the second?
Like with the evidence? I mean, yeah, sure. If you think that there's some sort of good evidence, yeah, sure.
Well, so like okay, like a good reason for someone to believe in God, whether something is true or not. Can you give a high quality reason if your end goal is to be happy, is to live long, is to live a life of like a lack of depression, and to feel like you can thrive regardless if God is true or not? If you want to live that type of life, I think you could give reasons why you may want to kind of cultivate that belief, even if God is not real, because ultimately you don't care about what's real or true. You simply want to be as happy and kind of stave off as much depression as possible. But if you're not looking at it from that perspective, then we don't have to have that type of conversation.
Yeah, the reason I looked at it from that perspective is because, like, even though I do get that, right, and I do get that people use religion for that. Like, I've met people who are what you would call cultural Christians. They only like do that or push it because they see that it's easier to get people to get community around it, which is true. It really is easy to get community if you have a religion, right? So, like, it's easier if you do that. I get that part, right? But the reason why I don't go along that line is because, again, as we said, that's not necessary to do. You see what I mean? So you can still cultivate a good life or good morals or good community, the communities that aren't harmful, without a God belief. Like, secular humanism is a thing, right? Secular morality, that is a thing that exists. Yeah, I mean, the secular therapy project, everything like that, all that still are things that exist, right? So we don't necessarily have to have the supernatural God belief in order to push humanity towards well-being. You can just believe in well-being because you want well-being for yourself. That's the reason why I don't go more for that line, because it just doesn't seem necessary. Now, if it comes across a time where we're able to gather up enough data to say that, okay, it is necessary, then that's something I may consider. But right now, the reason I don't consider it much is because it doesn't seem necessary. I hope that all makes sense.
No, I think it does. I just feel like there's with all due respect, there's a bit of maybe like a minor contradiction, because you seem to emphasis on the race part of not being religious a lot. It seems to be kind of salient and important, and the race part specifically, the Black, atheism part. And when you look at Black people, pretty much across the globe, for the most part, the type of lives that they live tend to, encompass much more hardship, much more, tragedy, heartbreak, much more striving. And I think that the God belief, it's not just it leads to happiness, but I think it staves off depression. It staves off a lot of real ailments that can happen, cognitively and, psychologically, that could lead to death and a very low quality of life. And that group of people is totally separate from, wealthy white Americans or white, Westerners, who they have the luxury to kind of decide if they want to believe or not believe in God, simply because of the privilege that their life, entails. And even, you and I, for the most part, we may not be white, but for the most part, we kind of live a certain life of privilege. But when I'm talking about my ancestors or, my relatives that live in Haiti, like currently right now, when you say give them a good reason to believe in God, I think the good reason for them to believe in God, it's not going to be a scientific reason. It's going to be because
hope.
I want you exactly to have a certain amount of strive and effort, because they don't have that protection that the rest of us have. That's why there's something that you had talked about the other night, where you said that you wanted to kind of remove, religiosity and religion from the Black community. And I think that in the long run, that has the potential to do more harm, because of the circumstances that a lot of those people's lives live in, not just in America, but just globally. So I'm kind of curious on your thoughts there. So I think there's a good reason to believe in God, depending on the type of life that you live and kind of where you fall on the spectrum of just pain and suffering. Yeah.
Gotcha. I have I think I have 3 points to say to that. Well, probably 4. Sabase, mais siento. I'm going to nula. So that's one thing. But that's my fellow Haitian here, y'all. So here's some things I would say to that. Growing up in the Haitian church, right? One thing that I've seen a lot is that even though faith gave all these people a lot of hope, what I also saw is that it caused a lot of damage to their well-being as well. Lack of forthright thinking and lack of critical thinking, meaning that a lot of times folks did not plan ahead simply because of faith, simply because bon Dieu la faire bagay pour moi. You see what I mean? Like God is gonna do something for me. So there was no forthright thinking. They didn't plan ahead at all. Like I have a very good story that I remember was a woman who just came to United States, right? She was going through a whole bunch of things in Haiti. She finally got her visa to come to the United States. And my sister, who was working in the hospital at that time, set her up with Medicaid. My sister told her, listen, you have a visa. You cannot go back to Haiti and visit yet. You have to be here for a certain amount of time in order for you to have a visa that can go back and forth. If you go back now, you won't be able to come back to the United States, and your daughter is here. So do not go back to Haiti right now. Stay here and go back to Haiti when your visa, when you get a permanent residency or something like that, because the visa you have, you can't go back and forth. She said, God is going to make a way. And she went. This was back in 2010. And she hasn't been back since. You see what I'm saying? So just having that faith, she was here in the United States, you know what I mean? Being able to come here and being able to build up her life with her daughter. And now her daughter is stuck here. And she hasn't seen her mom in 15 years. All because of God will make a way. You see what I'm saying? Now that's just a small story, but it's a very important one that stuck in my mind. I think it was one of the first times that I saw how faith can be damaging. You see what I'm saying? There's also the lack of critical thinking that I see, because like this is something that comes up all the time, especially in my lives, where people talk when people want me to explain to them evolution, the Big Bang, plate tectonics. So I look at them, I'm like, y'all, I have to be an expert in biology, an expert in astrophysics, an expert in cosmology and geology and physics and chemistry, and all you have is a book that says in the beginning, and you're right and I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Zero critical thinking at all. Like they do not critically think. So these are the ways where I see that. Yeah, I can see how faith gives them hope, but in a lot of ways, especially within our culture, I see how faith can be very, very damaging. No forthright thinking, no critical thinking. Like it all goes out the window. If it goes against these certain verses, out the window. You see what I'm saying? And that's not how you critically think or you repair your society. That really doesn't happen in America like that. Like the faith doesn't take away critical thinking, which is why a lot of people, especially a lot of black people, would say, I don't think a lot of white people even do believe in God, because a lot of white folks, even though they're on this whole evangelical, Christian nationalism stick, they really take, they really do take evidence, except when it comes to Trump. But for most things, they're going to take evidence. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the critical thinking is still there for them for at least halfway. We have the COVID thing and the Trump thing. So that's critical thinking is going away for some reason. But they're still going to critically, they're still going to plan ahead. You see what I'm saying? And you don't see that a lot with all our cultures. That leads me to the second thing that I would say, where when it comes to hope and everything like that, right? I do get it. I have no problem with that. I understand having the hope is why they hang on to it for. But as I said in the beginning, is a belief in a God necessary for you to have hope? It really isn't, because I have hope. I have hope that, the conditions of black people, not just in America, but around the world, will get better, because we've seen this every single time. Every people's group who have been on the bottom barrel of every society, they always rise up. You know what I mean? And this has been our conditions for hundreds of years. Like black people are very, very rebellious. We don't stay down for long. Even if we're brainwashed, other generations, they pick it up. So we may not see reparations from France, but I think our grandkids would see it, because they're going to fight for it. You see what I'm saying? So every generation picks it up. Which is why I have hope, because of what we've seen from before. You see what I mean? Now I know that was a lot. I did say a lot, but just to wrap everything up, I get how faith and religion can give people hope. But the two things that I would say is that, number one, it can also be very, 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 very damaging by causing a lack of critical thinking, a lack of forthright thinking, which means that in our societies, we don't build up a lot. You see a lot of Haitians say that there's no point of fixing up Haiti because the world is going to end soon anyway, and we're all going to be in heaven. Like they've been waiting for hundreds of years, and it's never happened. You see what I'm saying? Which is why a lot of reasons you don't see people fixing up Haiti like that. They're not in a hurry to fix it up, because they think the world is going to end. No forthright thinking, no critical thinking, and now that is not necessary. So that's what I would say. What do you think about everything I just said?
Yeah, I think the first 2 points we can kind of bash them together there. So the like lack of planning ahead and just not critically thinking. I think that you identified like an attribute of some people, and you're kind of attributing it to religion. And I think that you're kind of going too wide from the mark there. I think that the core thing is just this particular attribute in some people is just not as good. I don't think it's related to the religious belief to the degree that you're making it out to be, because simply you can look at, other, ethnic groups, whether you're looking at, like you mentioned, whites that are whatever, Protestant or whatever, Catholic or whatever. You can also look at Pakistani people that are Muslim, people that are, Buddhist or whatever, where there's a religion, the religion has a lot of beliefs that are, antithetical to thinking in a rational way, but yet these people are still very successful. They're still, succeeding in the Western world. They can, deter or, defer gratification. They can get, advanced degrees. They can plan ahead for stormy days. They have, saving accounts. They have, 401ks. And if you look at the religious belief, you would then say, wait, why is you being a highly religious Pakistani man? Why is that not having the same effects on your, day-to-day life, i.e. planning ahead and you being a critical thinker the way it is for African Americans or for Black people in Haiti? I think that those are two separate issues. And I think once you start to dive into the specifics, you can kind of carve out a space and say, some people have a hard time acting in a way to benefit their future, which is a totally separate conversation. And then you can say religious belief where the person is very focused on the actual hardcore scriptures is, counterproductive to them succeeding in, modern day society. But again, it's not something that's specific for Blacks, or for Africans and Black Africans that are Christians. You can look at it across all religions. So that I think you're diagnosing an issue with why aren't these people planning ahead in a very intelligent way? Good question. I think it has very little to do with their actual religious belief when you map it onto all the other religious groups and all the other people that are super religious that are succeeding in America and throughout the world. Mm-hmm. And then the third point about hope and belief in God, I think that something like hope is we can have a conversation on it. You can just look at the hardcore data. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I'm pretty sure people that are more religious and that are going through times that are more difficult, the more religious you are, the more you're able to take on, because what's built into that belief is you're not going through this thing alone. You have not just your mother and your father helping you through it. You have the actual creator of the universe that's helping you through it. That amount of internal stimulation, it's a cosmic stimulation. It's not a stimulation from listening to a cheerful song. You have the creator of the universe stimulating your drives. Nothing can compare to that. So I think just that by itself largely suggests that religious people, when you have that of the creator of the universe supporting you, that's going to give you a certain type of hope to go through what you're going through. And on top of it, because of the way the psychology of religion works, when you do have those massive hardships, like your loved one gets cancer, or a loved one, dies unexpectedly, or you have a massive tragedy, right? Religion spins that and it gives the person the cognitive support that they need by telling them that ultimately this was the wish of not just anyone, but the creator of the universe wanted it to happen. That is a massive cognitive support system that humans can have, which is why we still have it today. That is massive, because we know how hard and difficult life is. Mm-hmm. So when you can spin hardships and to say that those hardships are not just not that bad, but the creator of the universe wants you to go through those hardships to make you come out on the other end, versus the atheistic view, which is you're going through these hardships when your firstborn child dies of the crib death that happens to like 5% of all children. There's no overarching message you can give about why it happened. It happened for some random sucky reason, and now you're just depressed about it. So I think it's very clear. I think it's hard to make a strong argument that religion does not inherently give people more hope, because of when you look at the cognitive support apparatus that it gives to just like the human psyche, which is why it's been with us for so long. That's why I think it's so important that it is actually maintained and kept in communities, whether white or black, especially when those groups are having a difficult time. If you don't have if you're not having if you have a society where you don't have like a good a good system to ensure that that person can become well educated, they don't come from a good family structure where there are rules that they can follow to learn how to behave in society, or you just have a difficult environmental structure where people are going to prison, people are doing drugs at a young age, and all these things. I think when you remove the religiosity and you remove that North Star, you end up doing more bad than good. But the nuance is, if you come from a society or a culture or a family where you have two parents that are college professors or that are well paid, that live in the suburbs, where your uncles and aunts, for the most part, have white collar jobs or even blue collar jobs, but they work every day, and you're growing up in that system, I think you're more likely to exhibit pro-social behavior because you have models to follow. And I think the issue or the concern that I have with your message is you're kind of neglecting that. So I think those good reasons to believe in God, it is race agnostic, but it's more about what type of socioeconomic situation are you in. And for the most part, the people on this planet that are in those more dire situations tend to be Black. And I'll just wrap up by saying there's a quote that I read from this historian, Will Durant, and he talked about the world of colonialism, the world of colonialism has done two major things. Not only has it, raped, pillaged, and robbed, the poor and minorities, but then it's done this other backward things where that's from the front side. Now from the back side, after it's impoverished you, now it's coming through and it's now going to remove the one psychological aid that you have, which is your belief of the afterlife, your sense of the hope and the greater, and it comes and it pulls it. That's why when I first kind of lost my religion, I was out there telling everyone, there's no God, blah, blah, blah. And I was just going off and on, just like a fucking machine gun with just, and then what I learned is like, no, dude, like you're actually going to cause more harm to people because you're very, very lucky. And a lot of people around the planet that are, so you want to hold off on removing that religious belief, because in the long run, I think it can do them very good because their lives are going to be so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I would say, right? I've always argued that the way that Black people were taught religion and the way that white people are taught religion are very, very different, which is why we see these different outcomes, right? The way that is taught for Black people is that our heaven is going to come after we die. And the way that white folks are taught is that God wants you to have heaven on earth. Yeah, I mean, those are going to create very, very different outcomes, which is why I say that the entire thing about hope and their lack of critical thinking, lack of forthright thinking comes from that. Because anytime,
but then wouldn't the argument be to not remove religion from the belief system, but to alter it to match the belief system that whites have?
That's what Black liberation theology is, which is why I respect Black liberation theology. You know what I mean? Like whenever people come over here and discuss, especially if it's a Christian, a black Christian, I always ask them what do you think about black liberation theology? That's exactly what it does, right? Now whenever I when I say that the reason why I could give it to their religion is because when I asked them, when you ask people why didn't they think about this, or when do you think things are going to change for our society? A lot of the reasons where they give is that we're gonna have heaven after we die anyway. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say that I kind of blame it on that. Even the leaders would say that we're gonna have heaven after we die anyway. You see what I'm saying? So it's really one of those it's really one of those things where there's not really any surveys on it. It's just the way I form my opinion by talking to multiple people who have said this exact same thing, even leaders. I mean, even government leaders. You see what I mean? But what I would say is that back to my first thing, the reason why I think that is that the way the way that black folks were bought to religion, and the way that white folks and other people were bought to religion had different theologies. I've been in white churches and I've been in black churches. I grew up in black church all my entire life, and I grew up in white church for like my formative years from ages about 10 to 13. I grew up in a white church, right? And I saw the different theologies being taught. I always say that they're when it comes to a lot of white people, they're taught what I call David theology, and when it comes to black people, we're taught what I call blood theology. What that means in David theology is that the first story that they give to kids in white churches is a story of David and Goliath. They always say that you are David, and anything in your way is the Goliath, basically. And you need to knock down the Goliath. That test you have your next weekend, that's your Goliath. That person that's always bullying you, that's your Goliath. You know what I mean? You not being able to pay your bills tomorrow, that's your Goliath. And everybody else is your sheep and everything like that. But what is taught in black church? Everything is going to be okay with the blood of Jesus. That's what they're taught. You see what I'm saying? So, not
to cut you up, I just think that like that sounds good, but when you look at the data, if you look at like the socioeconomic status of blacks in America, and you go up the chain and go, well, what are the belief system of the blacks that are making the most money? They tend to be much more highly religious. So like black people that are in corporate America, that are, executives that are at the top tech companies, like all the top companies, or just making more than like $70,000 a year, you get more religiosity, especially in the men. As there's a high rate of religiosity in black men that are making more money. And when you look at the black men that are making much less money and that are more involved in the criminal justice system, they tend to be much less religious. So then that data is very strong. It shows that religiosity. And so this is something that what shifted my thinking was when I learned this, my sister had children and she had a lot of boys. And what I realized is like, I made a cognitive decision to not remove any religious doubt from my nephews after I read the cognitive benefits, the cognitive protective benefits for black boys, especially, that religious belief has. It's massive. The data, it's clear. So when I read it, I was like I literally I'm making sure that like I don't put any seeds of skepticism in their upbringing, because I want them to go to church every day. I want them to believe it. I'm certain it is wrong. I'm certain that like the Bible is.
But Anderson, this is the thing though, because I had to look this up to make sure, because I know what you're talking about. But when it comes to like a lot of these research, like from Pew to Gallup and everything like that, high religiosity, like it maintains high level across all income brackets. Really, it's not just it's lower with lower income Black Americans and higher with higher income Black Americans. It's pretty much level.
I'm talking about black. I'm talking about black
people. Yeah, Black Americans pretty much level on all. This is from the National Institute of Health too. Like I had to make sure.
If you talk about church attendance for black males and their annual salary, black males who make more money tend to go to church much more frequently than black males who make less money. There's no doubt that's the case. I'm not sure what. I guess if you could drop that in the link.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the link, but I'm looking at the National Institute of Health, like religiosity amongst black people, it remains pretty high amongst all income brackets. It doesn't get lower. Amongst all income brackets, it remains pretty high.
I have read and looked at data that was completely different, and my entire life just being in the church, there's always many more women than men, and there's way more, especially when you get like, I mean, literally at all age brackets, you just get way more women than men. And now it becomes anecdotal. All of the guys that I grew up with that were like and the irony for me is when I was younger, I was extremely religious, right? So that's kind of irony for me personally. But I noticed a lot of the guys that were, again, this is more anecdotal, but the ones that were more religious between like 10 to 17 are doing much better in life than the ones that were like, that never went to church, that didn't care anything about it. I don't know. Well, I guess I can. I mean,
you can say that's a lot of that happens to be with community and networking, right? Because like the church is where a lot of black people will network and have community at.
No, I think it's because, and again, I mean, you kind of talked about this before too. I think it's because there is a framework, and again, not religious, but I have to give the devil his due, so to speak. Judeo-Christian, that architecture, that software, that when you insert that software into a brain, there is something about it that can kind of unlock certain modules for more pro-social behavior because of the way the New Testament is. There's no doubt, especially on a large scale, it is a very pro-social, selfless type of belief system.
But here's the problem I'm having, Anderson. This doesn't happen with white Americans. With white Americans, their Christianity or their religious is based on racial hierarchy. With black Americans, it's the exact opposite, which is why I'm saying that we're learning different theologies.
What do you mean by racial hierarchy? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Like there's a study called The Religion of Whiteness, where they analyze what do white Christians, especially evangelicals, what do they take from certain Bible verses, and what do black Americans and Hispanics take from certain Bible verses. And every single time the white religious people, the white Christians, whether they were evangelical or mainstream Protestant, they viewed it through the lens of racial hierarchy or national hierarchy rather than altruism. Like the verses about, welcoming the foreigner, clothing the naked, feeding the poor. The white Christians would consistently put that onto either they deserve it or some sort of hierarchical need, basically, which is like, what are they going to do for me if I help them out? You see what I'm saying? That's their theology. But amongst black and Hispanics, it was completely different. It was all about altruism, no matter what their national or racial makeup was. You see what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, right? But like the phenomenon,
that just seems like really. It just seems. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't looked into that, but just what I've seen and what I've experienced personally, it's been. I mean, the amount of altruism that's done by the West for places like Haiti, for places like sub-Saharan Africa, it's being done disproportionately by whites that are well off, and it's being done because of Christianity, because they're trying to be altruistic because they think it's the right thing to do.
But like
for centuries.
But you have to like really look into the nuance of it, because I'm gonna give you an example. Missionaries went into Uganda, right? And they went over there to Uganda in order to help them. But there were people from Uganda that said that before these American missionaries came to Uganda, LGBTQ people were treated more with ambivalence. Yeah, I mean, there were laws on the book from colonial times against buggery and stuff like that. But like, it was more ambivalence. Like, people didn't really care. Folks would find it weird, but it was like, whatever, do what you do. After the white evangelicals came to Uganda, the attitudes towards LGBTQ community became extremely negative, to the extreme where both the Christians and the Muslims in Uganda have now not only made it illegal, but they tried to put the death penalty on it. And that happened after the Christian missionaries went there. You see what I'm saying? And we see that all across Africa. Like after the Christian missionaries go, because, you know, they knew that they lost the battle against being anti-LGBTQ here in America, but they knew if they went over to Africa, it would be a completely different subject, a completely different thing, right? So like a lot of their missionary work isn't simply just for altruism. Yeah, sure, some of that is there, but much of it, I would say the majority of it, is simply to be like to oppress LGBTQ people on the continent. Like much of it's not just for we're Christians, we're going to help you out, because if that was the case, they would invest more into making sure that the native people can keep their resources. Instead, a lot of them are invested into mining companies that extract resources from them. They're not into lifting people up.
I mean, yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. That's just again, I mean, Christianity has its good sides and its bad sides. It's great for giving you hope through hard times, but yes, no doubt, if your children are gay and you're looking at the Bible the way it's meant to be read, it's not going to be good for them. But let me see if I can like understand your psychology. Maybe we can cut through it a bit quicker. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Bill Gates is doing a good thing with all the work that he's done in, with the nets and stuff like that in, Haiti and Africa, or do you feel like there's something behind it? I want to see if that maybe gets at your worldview a bit. So I can.
He's a billionaire, so I don't really trust him. But I do think that, yeah, in some ways he's helped with the nets, with the vaccines. But if he goes, the other things behind the scene of trying to human test with vaccinations and trying to own water rights in the third world because they have weaker governance, those are the parts I don't trust. But billionaires, whether they're Christian or non-believers, I don't really trust them at all, because they're billionaires. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I would say about Bill Gates.
Why would you not trust them because they're billionaires?
Because becoming a billionaire, you have to be exploitative. You don't become a billionaire through ethical ways unless you bought a lottery ticket and it was worth $1 billion. That's really the only way.
Yeah, but the only way you can become a billionaire is if I freely give you my money. And a lot of people are doing it, right?
Not necessarily. Well, not the
only way, but the primary way in the Western world where there's laws, mm-hmm. The primary way where people become very wealthy, it's the masses willingly give them their hard-earned money because of some product or something that the billionaire produces, service, product, or what have you, that people want to give money for. And because people want it so much, that's how they. It's that simple, isn't it?
No, the billionaires don't produce anything. Like Steve Jobs didn't make the iPhone. He came up with the idea. He was a visionary. He came up with the idea, but he didn't mind the resources. He didn't know what it needed. He just came up with the idea.
No, but so if you're working on a team, which that's the way early Apple was as a startup, you have a team. You have the person who's doing the product roadmap, right? He can decide, hey, we want to revolutionize these devices and have these screens that can do all this stuff. Or he can just say, let's just like do something completely different. And then instead of making tens of thousands of people millions of dollars because they are the employees of this company, he just runs the company into the ground because he comes up with a stupid idea and his company just completely folds. So
right, exactly. I got you. But I mean, Steve Jobs' the idea with the iPhone was a revolutionary idea. I don't think anybody was going to deny that. What I'm saying is that the way that people become billionaires is that you have to pay employees less than what they're worth. You have to. Yeah, I mean, because it's like if you don't, you're not going to make the profit, and your shares are not going to go up. Like the way that most billionaires have $1 billion is because of the shares that they're invested in, right? The ways that those shares go up is if you make profit, and the best way to make profit is to pay people as less as possible. Yeah, I mean, at least the market rate. So the only way. Like if every Apple, I say Apple, if every Amazon worker was making $70,000 a year, like that's not going to be a lot of profit for Amazon, or at least they don't see that in the long run. In the short term, it's not going to make a lot of profit. In the long term, it will. But in the short term, they need to make that profit, right? Because if it doesn't go up, that means that the stock is going to go down, and then the shareholders are going to complain. The stock is going to go down more. Right. So they see it in the short term.
Right. But before you get downstream of that, the core thing is, who decides what the worker is worth? It's not that
that's the fight between capitalism and socialism. Who should decide what the worker is worth? Now, people who are more on my side decide that the workers should decide because we're the one making the product. Yeah, I mean, you're just sitting back.
That doesn't. Well, see, okay. I'm going to talk to you because I really respect you. I'm going to talk to you because I really respect you. The way you're thinking, like you are in a box in the way you're like going about this, and that box is similar to like maybe not like a 6,000-year-old planet Christian person is thinking, but it's like a person who like believes in evolution, but believe God had like his hand in there, kind of believes in magic. Like they have enough science where they can like talk a little bit, but they're still like seeped into the Bible. Like, and it's going to take a lot of work to like unlock all of the stuff, like really unlock all the issues that you're saying. It's just a lot of work, but you're in that same space, dude. You just have to look at the evidence where it takes you regardless. The person who decides what the worker is worth, it's not the company, it's the company, or it's not only the company, it's the company and the worker. Because if you don't want the salary, you just leave and go somewhere else. And you're right, if profits were or if the salary was too high, the company would have very little profit, right? But the worker decides they're not enslaved to that salary. They accept that salary, and it's typically because that's the highest salary that they can get. And that's not the best system in the world. It's going to leave a lot of people at the bottom of it, but it's one of those, it's the best given all the, alternatives. It's just, I guess, the way
Anderson, the thing is, we never tried the alternatives really. The alternative is basically making sure that everyone can live a decent life, because not everybody wants to make $100,000 a year. Most people don't even care about that. Most people just want to live a life that's decent enough for them to take care of their kids, their family, and eat at night. A lot of people don't need to be Bill Gates rich. Like, they don't care. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, but if we have a system where the only jobs available is check to check, then it's going to cause an issue. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're in the age of the new robber barons, because that's how it was back in the day of the robber barons, where that was literally the only thing available. It was either you take that or you starve to death, and hunger sucks. You know what I'm saying? So they're not going to just, you can just go somewhere else. Yeah, if I go somewhere else, they're going to offer me the same thing you're offering. Well, go somewhere else. I go somewhere else, they're offering maybe less than what you're offering. Go somewhere else. I go somewhere else, they're offering me maybe $1 over. Yes, maybe I'm not living completely check to check, but it's going to be a problem still, Yeah,
but that's not the situation that we're in, right?
It is. It really is.
Hold on. If you don't want the $10 at McDonald's and then you go to Home Depot, and you don't want the $15 at Home Depot, now if you have the skills to do it, and it's very hard, and some people do not have the skills to do it, but some people do. You can go get a technical skill, master something, go figure out how to, master machine learning and get very knowledgeable on how AI works and prompt engineering and all of that. And then you can go and you can get a job for 120K, or you can use, the LLMs to create potentially your own small company. If you don't like the other ones, you have the ability to jump between different companies. But I think the core, and this helps me kind of get your worldview. I think the core difference is, I see the human condition as that it's a very hard, almost sad situation that humans are in. It's very hard, very sad. I see life as short, brutish, and whatever Rousseau, or not Rousseau, Thomas Hobbes said. That's the human condition. And what I see our society trying to do with religion and with capitalism and with a lot of these things is, we're trying to climb out of the hardship. It's not that the human condition is by default prosperous, especially like once you put on your like naturalism hat on, and you put on your.
This is my question, Anderson. Yeah, I'm sorry, everything you're saying, but this is my question.
If you once you remove the rose-colored glasses and you look at the human condition for what it is, you start to understand it's actually really, really difficult. And what we want to do is, it's not necessarily make things better. We want to decrease as much suffering and pain as possible.
No, I agree with that. But Anderson, here's the thing. Capitalism doesn't necessarily do that. Yeah, I mean, because capitalism is all about increasing your profit as much as possible. Fuck whoever fuck whatever, people are. And we've seen that over and over and over again. You see what I'm saying? Which is why regulations happen. Capitalism is not about making sure people are better than before. It's about increasing your profit. The betterment of people becomes secondary to that.
No, right. No. So what you just said is true, but there's kind of a nuance point in there. When you have a large number of people and you're trying to have some sort of social infrastructure and you're trying to maximize efficiency, capitalism seems to be the optimal way to maximize efficiency, where I don't really, like, my employer really doesn't care about me and I don't really care about my employer. But when you have millions and millions of people, the best way to have relationships when you want to get stuff is to actually do stuff for your employer, have them pay you. And if you do the stuff at a high enough quality, it's not that they love you so much. It's not why you're getting the raise or the promotion or this, or your great salary. It's because you are indirectly improving the quality of life of the company, or i.e. the person who owns the company, and therefore they're giving you a share of that profit. So what's happening is it's a way to productionalize efficiency on a mass scale.
I got you. Here's two things I would say. Number one, like, honestly, everything you say about the human conditions. We know that the human conditions suck, but it doesn't have to. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to. I understand Thomas Hobbes saying that everything about the human condition.
No, but the question is, what do you need to do so it doesn't suck? That's the question.
What we need to do is to make sure that we increase human well-being as much as possible, meaning our physical, our physical and our mental health. All right. So the way that we do it, it seems to be the best way that we do it is that if everyone has shelter, everyone has food, and everyone has food, shelter, and
hold on. This is with religious people, they have the magical thinking that takes up so much space. Now, you can't just start like labeling things. Let's ask, how can everyone get food and everyone get shelter if shelter and food are limited resources?
They're not. That's the thing.
We are not limited resources.
The United States of America itself produces enough to feed the world. We just throw it away because it's not gonna make money from it.
So in your world, you think that the United States can produce enough food
to feed the United States currently?
Hold on.
What I'm saying is, Anderson, the United States currently produces enough food to feed the world. We just throw it away.
No. Now the question is, who decides on who gets how much food? Do I get more food or do you get more food? And who decides who are the people working to produce the food? Do you work 20 hours or do I work 100 hours to produce the food?
No, of course, that's things like that are going to be more decided amongst the communities, right? Like, for example, if I don't want to be a farmer, you shouldn't force me to be a farmer. No one is saying that.
What if no one wants to be a farmer then? If we're
there are people who want to be farmers. I ain't gonna lie. There are people who want to be farmers.
But the question is, if you want to leave it up to people, what if people don't want to be farmers simply because, so I'm going to be a farmer, and what I get by being a farmer, I work, and then my reward is food. That guy over there goes, fuck it. He doesn't want to be a farmer. What does he want to do? He wants to just like play music and hook up with a lot of beautiful women. So I work and then I get food. He hooks up with a lot of beautiful women on the weekends and all the time, and I give him food. So I'm putting more input into the system than he is. So I'm going to be kind of that's going to create some sort of resentment in me, because the way the resources are allocated when it comes to the relative output of effort seems to be unfair. And that's a core attribute of human psychology, which is you get what you put in. So your system is not factoring that in.
No, it does factor that in. Like the musician still works. Like it's not you just don't, they don't sit down and just bang on the guitar, right? You actually have to be good at it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that at the end of the day, all these things get factored. I'm not explaining it well, right? We can keep a certain system in place.
You're not explaining it well.
Hold on, Anderson, I'm trying to explain, bro. We can I'm trying to explain, bro. I get what you're saying, but we're not gonna. This society would never be a system of farmers and guitar players. That's never gonna happen. Yeah, sure. There are people who's gonna want to make music. There's gonna be people who want to grow food because they simply just enjoy it. There are people who are gonna want to do what I do right here, just sit around and talk all day because we simply enjoy it, right? What I'm saying is that the system that we have in place right now under capitalism, we produce abundance, but because it doesn't make profit, we throw that abundance away. And I'm saying that we need to move to a system where we can create abundance and not necessarily be worried about how we're going to accumulate more and more currency from this abundance. That's that has caused like all the damage on the planet that we're seeing right now. That because something doesn't make a lot of money, or because it is going to make a lot of money, we damage people. We should move on to a system where that doesn't happen. And I'm not seeing why we can't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't 100% disagree, but I do think that, again, with all due respect, I think that your worldview it's naive in an analogous way to the way a Christian interacts with the world. And although you've left the religious, like software, when it comes to interacting with the actual system that we're living in, you're kind of transferring some of that software, and it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint one because you'll recede to another point. And but I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me be clear. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there's something I'm not seeing. But I just remembered thinking like this when I was younger, and the same way it was me being reluctant. Jesus Christ, reluctant. This KBS founder. I don't know if you ever had it.
Yeah, I have it. But what I'm saying is, Anderson, is that I understand that capitalism produces production, right? It makes production and allocation of resources a lot easier. I get that part, right? Like I'm not fighting you on that point, because even Marx said that. Yeah, capitalism actually does bring up production. Like no one doubts that, right? What we're saying is that under the system of capitalism that we have right now, profit is more important than the person, right? Accumulating wealth is more important than uplifting the well-being of humankind. And I want us to move to a system where we can uplift the well-being of humankind and not necessarily worry about accumulating profit, right? Accumulating much more wealth for ourselves just for me to live like a king. We can move to that type of system because we've had it before. So it's like,
okay, I don't disagree with that. That I think that's a much weaker claim than I thought you were. I don't disagree with that. If we want to say, hey, instead of maximizing money, we don't maximize money to such a degree, and we actually we take some of the maximum, like the maximizing of money, and shift that towards like actual quality, i.e., we just like take money from the top people and get more to the bottom. I'm more open to that, which you're talking about, like some sort of like taxing system.
That's what socialism is, bro. That's literally what socialism is. Like the abundance, the accumulation, then gets distributed amongst the people who have less, or amongst all of us. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So we can all live a decent life. Yeah, I mean, so that's really what it's about. Like we just redistribute the resources that we all have. That's really what it is. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with that. I'm just curious on your view. I mean, I'm sure you have family in Haiti and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a relative of yours that's in Haiti, I'm sure you do, and you have, let's say, a 21-year-old guy, 25-year-old guy, and he's in Haiti and he's trying to figure stuff out, and he calls you one day and he's just like talking to you. Maybe you guys are on Zoom, whatever, and he's like, I don't know, man. Do you think there's a God? What are you going to say to them? So again, this is an adult. They're in Haiti, so we know their life, the way their life is going. What are you going to say to them?
I'm telling them no. Like I'll always believe in telling folks the truth. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Okay, let me shift it. If they ask you, do you think they should believe in God?
I don't like to impose. I would initially say no, but I would also say it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. Is this something that's important for you? And if it is something that's important for you, I'm not going to agree with your decision, but it's important for you. So I shouldn't take it away from you.
So then to do the full loop around here.
Yeah, because we do got to we do got to move on. We've been on for almost an hour, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to answer a question, and I think I'm going to answer it with a mic drop. With all due respect, can you give me a good reason to believe in God? Yes, if not believing in God would cause you to commit suicide. That's the reason.
That's the reason. If not,
that's a good reason why you should believe in God. Because if you don't, if you're going to harm yourself because you don't think life is worth living, then I think you should.
I mean, if someone tells me that, I'll take them to church myself. I mean, I don't want you to harm yourself. So it's like if but
that's a good reason. So fair enough. That's a good reason. That's a good reason to believe in God. If by not believing you're going to harm yourself, then by all means believe in God. You agree?
By all means, yeah. Go ahead. If you're not gonna if you're gonna harm yourself, sure. Like go. I'll take you to church myself. But what I would also do is say that you need some deep therapy. Yeah, I mean, I would take you to if church is gonna be your therapy, then cool. But I would say that, you know what, we need to help you. Yeah, I mean, we need to actually get you some help. Sure, maybe the pastor can pray with you. Maybe we can talk to you about what's going on. But if you're gonna go ahead and harm yourself, then yeah, I guess I have to take you to church myself. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Yeah, I do apologize that we went on long with Anderson. I think there were some folks that had a question, but I have user and I have seeker here, and I have Alec, Latter-day Saint over on the YouTube. I don't know if Mega 6 had a question or a comment for Anderson. Did you have one, Mega?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Cameron. Cam, what's good, bro?
Yeah. What's good, man?
What's good, Cam?
Yeah. My main questions, because I know it's about God, but you guys kind of talked about a lot of capitalism. One of my big questions is about the ethical. If you could become a billionaire on the ethically, and my thing is that under your logic, is minimum wage something that is okay, right? Should there be a minimum wage?
Question. I mean, when you get in very detailed things like that, I mean, should there be or should there not be? There's going to be 3-4 levels of cause and effect that I am not trained in economy. I'm not a trained economist. I guess there should be, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get to the ethical nature, right? Because I think minimum wage is an ethical question, right? Should there be a minimum that you should pay a person for working, right? That's an ethical question. It's not I mean, sure, it has economical aspects to it, right? But the reason behind a minimum wage is not to necessarily help the economy. It's to help the person, right? To help the person behind the economy, right?
Yeah. So I know. So I haven't read this. I read this book a very long time ago, but there's a guy that a lot of people talk about, Thomas Sowell. He has a book called Basic Economics where he talks about this stuff, and he talks about, again, his core thesis is there's a bunch of things that on the surface sound good, but when you actually implement them, the third and fourth level effects actually seemed superficially, and I mean, you can buy his book and read it, but I think his claim is you push people out of the market and you make it more expensive to hire, particularly Black people. When you increase the minimum wage, you actually get less Black people employed because most employers want to pay people as low as possible. And what happens is a lot of those lower wages would typically go to younger people. Okay. So typically you would have a normalization of working for younger Black people. And now when you have a minimum wage of $15 or $20, they're pushed out of the market. They don't normalcy.
We see that, Anderson. Go. Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead, Mega. But Anderson,
I don't want to cut you off. I'm just trying to get to the. Are you going?
Yeah. I just want to point something to him. So what Thomas Sowell pointed out, that of employers wanting to pay people as much as possible, that's exactly the problem. Yeah, I mean, we're saying that shouldn't be the case. So what Thomas Sowell pointed out, that of employers wanting to pay people as much as possible, that's exactly the problem. Yeah, I mean, we're saying that shouldn't be the case. So what Thomas Sowell pointed out, that of employers wanting to pay people as much as possible, that's exactly the problem. because at that point you're just creating a race to the bottom. See what I mean? Go ahead, Mega.
Yeah, and I don't want to like cut you off, but it looks like more or less your argument there was that, you know, something might seem good, but there's a lot of complex ramifications that could, some of them could be foreseeable, some of them unforeseen, right? So it's like, we could do this, but what if when we do this, this happens, right? So, and that's possible because things are more complicated than that. So I can, but I'll give an easier type of question. Do you think child labor is ethical? Like, should there be child labor laws, right? Should there be like a law that says, hey, a 5-year-old kid can't go into a store and work, right? Do you think that's ethical or not?
I don't know enough. I haven't read too much about this. I don't know if I read anything about it, but I think the core issue there is if you start having children work at a very young age, they can be exploited, right? So it's like, you can tell them like, hey, you're going to do this, but they actually end up, or like, I'm going to pay you like this amount of money for this amount of work, but then you actually like times 4 or 5 of the work, or you put them in situations that are unsafe, which then cause them to be exploited in a way that kind of hones in on their lack of, you know, cognitive development that our society wants to protect. That's why we have like age limits for almost everything, including calls like this, because we don't want to exploit minors. So at some point, you're going to have a line in the sand. Should it be 10 years old or 15 or 21 or 5? I don't know, but it seems like it makes sense to have one, but I haven't really dug into it.
Okay. So at least that's a good. I would agree with that. I'm not gonna say it's a good point or not, but yeah. So it's definitely flexible. A few more quick ones. Do you?
I'm sorry, Megan. Like maybe Anderson can come back another night, but we've been on with him for almost an hour. I gotta move on. I do apologize, but because User has been here for almost an hour, so has Seeker, and I gotta get to Prophet as well, and so has Alec over on my YouTube. All right, so I do gotta get to them, but we gotta just talk about another time. Come back, you know, tomorrow or Sunday, and we can talk about it more. All right, Anderson, but we'll talk about it more tomorrow, Sunday. All right, but Mega, you can stay up, but Alec, I do gotta go ahead and move on. But I appreciate you being on. All right.
Yeah. Later.
All right, guys. All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and move on to Alec, stay on mute for me. I appreciate you, Alex. Stay on mute for me because User was here before you. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk to him for a second, and I promise I'm gonna keep the time to 15 minutes. All right. Alec is gonna be right after User, and then Seeker, and then Info Profit, because I think I've spoken to Info Profit before. But User, how's it going, User? What do I call you? Are you at least 18? And do you think you give me good reasons to believe in a God? Let me invite him to unmute. User, you can go ahead and unmute now if you see the invitation. You there? There he is. You there, User? Yeah. There you go. All right. Are you at least 18? And do you think you can give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I'm almost 79 years old.
Okay.
I just calling you to let you know I really appreciate the kind of job you've been doing. I'm Haitian, and I've been in the church since I was little, but I become, you know, when I growing up, I don't interested in the church anymore. But I'm so glad to live life to see something like that happen in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I'm so happy because we connaît ça really zombification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, that's what we are. Almost, I could say probably 60 or 70% people in Haiti. Zombie, they are zombie become a zombie because when it's a religion, in your mind, you become sick, crazy. You don't know what you're really doing because.
All right. Alec, how's it going, Alec? I appreciate you for being here. Are you at least 18? And do you think you can give me a good reason to believe in a God?
I'm 33 and I'm old, and I'm going to give you what reasons I can. As someone who actually was, I was an atheist. I was an agnostic and a nihilist. I tried paganism. I tried Buddhism, Islam. I really bounced around. I really did not want a Christian God. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even want a God, period. So I know where you're coming from in that way, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. What do you think a good reason is?
I could give you a few, but if I could just give you some empirical ones, just based on some surveys. Do you know the Pew Research Institute at all?
Yeah, Pew Research. Are you gonna bring up the entire thing of that? Christians basically have better mental health outcomes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So that's one that's pretty general, and I'm just asking you in a general question. If you wanted to be healthier, you would want to be healthier, right? If there's any sort of tie with religion that seems to help that, or with a God, then it's worth considering. If you want a better mental health state, perhaps there is evidence. In fact, I was a psychiatric technician. I worked at a mental health hospital for people with really severe and serious conditions. Our doctor and our treatment team would always prescribe them therapy, medication, and a spiritual worldview. They didn't care what it was, but it was actually clinically tested that a spiritual worldview, no matter what it was, as long as it wasn't degrading, would help people to recover better from their mental ailment. Or even if total recovery wasn't possible, it would help them maintain a better, general daily life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So have you ever heard of secular spirituality?
Very vaguely. I think in Judaism, it's one of the most popular there.
Well, yeah, in secular Judaism, it is. But yeah, there is secular spirituality where you can take on a spiritual worldview in a secular form, and that spiritual worldview is more based on gratitude, awe, and love for humanity, and it still produces the same outcomes. One thing that Pew Research, I think, if I'm not mistaken, what it also said was that this was based more on people having a community rather than just the Christian belief, period. Because other religious groups such as Muslims and stuff like that, they also have similar outcomes. So it's more based on the community that you have. And because atheists are such a minority in not just America, but the planet, it's not a lot of data there. But if you have a community, you're going to have better health outcomes, right? And when it comes to a spiritual belief, I don't doubt that a spiritual belief could or a spiritual worldview can help out. It's just that when it comes to a spiritual worldview, I don't think it necessarily needs to pertain to God belief, because Buddhists are also very spiritual, right? But there's no God in Buddhism. See what I mean?
There are denominations that do have it, but you're right that it's generally a more broad spiritual landscape. You're totally right. Mm-hmm. But if I could push back a little bit on that, with it generated from the community. I was a member of the LGBTQ community. Well, and an active member. I still experience those feelings for the same gender, and I don't bash on people for that. In fact, in my specific faith, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we don't teach that if you have those kind of feelings toward the same gender, we don't say that gets you to hell. We think that sinful acts do. So we don't damn people for having those feelings, for being gay, right? But when I was in that community, I was never more miserable. And when I went on, you could say, outings with people of the same gender in that community, it was generally reported to me that they were unhappy, extremely unhappy, and they wanted to unalive almost 90% of the time when I was with those people, with people in my community. So I would just push back there that community is not the total answer.
Yeah, sure. It's not the total answer. You do have to have a safe community. You still have to have an active, vibrant community. If you're in a community where all they do is denigrate you, you're not gonna have a good mental health, right? I would say that for the other LGBTQ people, they probably in their personal lives, they also didn't have good community. They were either rejected, they were lonely, et cetera, et cetera. But I've met LGBTQ people who are very, very happy, especially in a lot of them in the ballroom scene. As a matter of fact, that's where they find a lot of their happiness and their pride, because they can be amongst their tribe, be amongst their people. Sure. You see what I'm saying? So I would say, I'm sorry that you went through that. You know what I mean? The people that you were around didn't exactly help you to with your mental health. But so I do agree with you halfway. The community, simply having one, is not the full answer. It's a good community, a healthy community, a vibrant community. Those actually do help. I live in Florida, right? And there's a place called Walton Manors. Walton Manors, once you go there, is basically like a little San Francisco. You're going to see the pride flags everywhere. The folks who live over in Walton Manors, like, those are some of the happiest people I ever met in my life. Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're wonderful. That's because the community there, it's very, very vibrant, very, very healthy. There's lots of health. There's like health clinics. There's even, affirming churches, LGBTQ churches are around there for people who are LGBTQ and Christian. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically what happens over there. I don't mean to take you over. I'm sorry, but yeah. So I do agree with you halfway. It's a healthy community can do those things for you. Yeah, sure. What do you have to say?
Sure. I spoke with an Episcopal. I went to a Pride event recently, and I actually spoke with people who do have church communities who are LGBTQ affirming, like Episcopalianism, for example, or the Community of Christ. And they seem to focus more, like you said, on the community aspects and edifying or building each other up rather than, beating each other down. And I think that's very helpful to learn to accept yourself instead of being cruel to yourself. This is my last point, and then you can get someone else up, of course, would be guilt and shame for things that you cannot change. I think that spirituality, from my experience of it, like in paganism and exploring Buddhism and other faiths that did not have a God, I couldn't get past this deep-seated guilt for things that I couldn't change that I'd done, and that didn't really go away from me at all until I had an experience with what I believe was the Lord, and the experience of being forgiven. Because if I'm not forgiven, then that shame kind of remained. I could kind of talk it down, but until I had that, kind of that lifting of forgiveness, I couldn't deal with it.
For that, I would say that that's a thing that, because I'm studying to be a counselor as well, right?
Wow. Okay.
That's that's a thing that comes up a lot in counseling, especially in our residencies, on people or clients or patients who harbor a lot of guilt for something that they've done in the past and not being able to let go of it. It's a very, very difficult thing to let go of, right? But a lot of it comes from people not taking the first step, the acceptance that it cannot change. Essentially, they kind of just reminisce over and over again, wishing they could have done something different. But like, a lot of it comes from that not taking that first step, that you have to accept that you cannot change this. You know what I mean? Like the Annie song, "The Sun Will Come Up Tomorrow," right? It's over with. Like it's gone. You know what I mean? There's no going back. I
told myself that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just
you have to go back.
I
Yeah, you have to put one step in front of the other. You feel me? Go ahead, Alec. I'm sorry.
Course. No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is I attended therapy as someone who was LGBTQ, full atheist, or even agnostic nihilist, and those adages, they didn't give me the relief that I've found through religion and believing in a God. That's my only pushback.
So you think that something else had to forgive you for what you did for you to forgive yourself? Because even though I told myself it's gone, it's over, it's done with, there was nothing I could do to rectify it, and that bothered me so badly. Because like atheists, they're some of the most moral people I know. They're moral to the point where they say, "Hey, if God creates someone so they can go to hell, that's completely immoral." And I clap my hands, because in my faith we don't believe that. That's a different sort of doctrine, that God makes people just to send them to hell. We don't think people go to hell, like, period. We're pretty much universalist in a way, but I think that kind of moral standpoint is necessary in order to have a genuine outlook and to actually question what you believe and actually come to an honest conclusion. Otherwise, you're kind of just hand waving it. And I couldn't hand wave these things that I'd done to hurt people, is what I would say. And so until I actually felt like someone stronger than I was, someone powerful enough to actually heal hurts that I couldn't heal, made me feel finally free of it. And even though I did therapy and I felt I could talk myself through it, I did self-help books. I worked at that mental hospital, which actually really helped me to analyze like I got like anxiety and depression and stuff. But until I had that experience where there actually was a power capable of making it all right, eventually, even if not now, but eventually, that really lifted a lot of the burden for me. But that power is also time, isn't it? Because I don't know if that power is also time, isn't it? Because there is that adage, time heals all wounds. You know what I mean? So it's like for example, me and my wife went something very, very tragic last year. We're not completely healed, but we kind of just learned to live with it. You know what I mean? So like time I'm kind of healed a lot of that wounds, and we're still healing up. You know what I mean? Like our time together, our us loving each other and expressing ourselves and everything like that helps us to move forward and helps us to heal, so we can learn to basically live with it, because I don't think it's something that we'll ever forget. You know what I'm saying? So when you say that the things that you've done to people in the past, you simply cannot change it, and for whatever reason it is, you don't have to expose it here, whether it's they won't talk to you anymore, or they're in different countries, or worse, they're not with us anymore, they're gone. You can't really do anything about it. Like I get that part, right? Now, if without a God belief, this is where I always say that I'm kind of jealous of people who are believers, because anytime someone dies for me, like my cousin recently passed away back in January.
Okay.
In my mind, I'm never gonna see her again. Yeah, I mean that's it. It's gone. I'm never gonna see her again. However, do I still have her memories with me? Do I still remember her voice? Do I still like take her with me every single day through her memories? Yeah, I do. And in a way, that's the afterlife, right? It's not, she's out there in the sky somewhere. It's that she's still with me in my memories. I still remember her voice. I still remember the best jokes we had. I still remember, when we went out for our family reunion, and we was playing dominoes, and I thought I was gonna win, but she had that one piece of domino that I didn't see, and she kicked my ass. See what I'm saying? I still remember that. Those are all great memories. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And me doing that was the way I kind of started to heal myself from her passing. So I do get like the entire point of I'm not able to connect or heal with this person or even say sorry to them, because they might either be gone, they won't talk to me, or I'm just physically unconnected to them. They're in another country somewhere. I live in America, they live in Japan. I'll never see them again. So like I get that part of it, and that's hard to accept. But at the end of the day, time it does take time for you to learn how to accept it, and for you to get it out of your mind. I hope that all makes sense.
I would agree, but my mom died about 5-ish years ago. I would never be able to accept and stay sane that I would never see her ever again, and that all of my experience, like this goes back to my nihilism, like that would make happiness pointless. That would make loving her pointless. That would make ever being here that would make me learning pointless. That would make everything and one day the Earth's gonna blow up with the sun. So why even like? I can't go back.
No, I got you. I mean, yeah, sure. Objectively, it's pointless, right? But me simply being here in my lifetime, that for me, that is the point. Like I still affect people around me. At the end of the day, even if the universe doesn't care, let's say I'm correct and there's no afterlife, and the universe doesn't care. Like in 100 years, my great grandkids not even gonna know my name. Yeah, I mean, if I don't become like a famous person like Michael Jackson, my grandkids will never know my name. My great grandkids will never know my name. Unless I become like Michael Jackson famous, right? But at the end of the day, the fact that I affected the people in my generation, my peers, those around me, and those immediately after me, in order to lift them up and become give them at least as much as a positive life as possible. That really is the point. Like we make our own purpose. That's just in my mind. You feel me? But I do get where you're coming from, because Mormon theology is actually very, very like interesting, even though the racism bothers me. But the other stuff about kind of getting your own planet, that's kind of interesting. So it's like I don't know. I want to look more into it, but yeah, that's what I would say. We make our own purpose, but I do get the entire point of there being an after purpose for you beyond your lifeline. I'm not gonna take that away from you. Like if that helps you out, sure, it helps you out.
Can I just refute the racism really quick? By the way, Brigham Young, he taught that from his own understanding, according to his time. In the Book of Mormon, before Brigham Young was a prophet, when Joe Smith was on the earth, It says that all are alike unto God, black and white, bond free, male and female. So just so you know, we don't support racism.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right
why was black priests not allowed until like after the civil rights movement?
That's the thing, because we actually had people who were African American who were ordained to the priesthood in Joseph Smith's time. And my grandfather, he got his master's degree in church history, and he said that. So some of our church leaders have said that was the interpretation that Brigham Young took. So in other words, they weren't affirming it. They weren't saying that was what God wanted. Instead, they said that's his interpretation. Our prophets are not infallible. They can make mistakes. Maybe it was a mistake. But what my grandfather said to me was, in the time when Brigham Young and Joseph Smith were around, there was a vile, vile teaching that black people had no souls, that they were animals, and it was disgusting. And Brigham Young, he even said, like, he was okay with people being ordained, but then this happened in the church and he didn't allow people to get the priesthood. From my point of view, and from my grandfather told me, he said the reason why he did that was to not stoke people to come be violent to us in Utah, because there was an army that was sent after us by President James Buchanan because of polygamy. If they were mad enough to come and R-word us and burn us and rob us across the United States for our beliefs and polygamy, how would they react to us doing this? I don't know. That's just from my historical research.
All right, yeah, I got you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on, but I do appreciate you being up here, Alec.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
No problem. All right, guys. Ooh, I didn't get Mega to talk to him. My bad, Mega. I was gonna have you talk to him as well, but you can go ahead and get in on this next one, because I think Seeker is probably gonna be my last person. And then we're gonna go ahead and end the live. I'm gonna go ahead and put the time on the clock. Seeker, you can go ahead and talk to me and Mega if he has any questions for you. Talk to me for a few minutes, and I'll get Mega into the conversation. That sound good, Seeker?
I'm sorry for I didn't really. I put it on. I didn't. Yeah, I knew, but okay. Sorry, I'm in the UK, so I'm babbling. Sorry for this. Sorry for this. I have to go. No, so I'm so sorry.
You said you gotta go?
The reason, Volcy, is just yeah, I requested by I fell asleep. Forgive me, I fell asleep.
No, it's all good. I had a long conversation with somebody, so if you fell asleep, it's all good and well, man. Let me know if you're up now, if you're up to have the conversation, and if you are, we can continue.
Not now. I'm really tired, man. My brain.
Not right now. Oh no, all good, bro. It's all good. But I appreciate you. I'll talk to my homie real quick. All right, go ahead and come back tomorrow. We'll talk more. Mega, what's good, bro?
What's good, man? I can give you a good reason for God. I don't know if it's a good reason, but I would say this, like it is kind of, I don't want to get too like racial in it or anything, but it has a small element to it. I think there's the one good reason to have your own God to believe in is because other people have their own God that they believe in. And just not having a God or trying to find another way around that is kind of tough when there's so many other groups that have their own God. I know you can say like, oh, well, just use spirituality. But having that somewhat all-powerful, all-knowing thing is kind of like having a basketball team. It's kind of like believing in a brand, right? You could say, I wouldn't say that like if one person says Nike makes the best clothes and the best shoes, the best hats, it's not a good alternative to just be like, well, instead of believing in a brand and how good your brand is, why don't you just try out all the different clothes and determine over time who the different items made by different people that are the best fabrics, right? It'd just be a lot easier to just be like, nah, I prefer Adidas. But that's the best one I can really get with. So that's why I kind of don't get bad at too much of the Black Israelites, because like, I mean, snap, if you're going to believe in a God, at least believe in a Black one if you're Black. Believe in an Asian one if you're Asian. You know?
Hey, listen, I don't even I'm not even gonna give you any pushback about that, because I've always said if we're gonna believe in an integral religion, we should go back to what we were doing before. You know, I mean, before Christianity came to the land, we should go ahead and do Haitian voodoo. You know what I mean? African Americans have, you know, hoodoo. Louisiana hoodoo, like, yeah, do all that. You see what I'm saying? Because we have our own spiritual systems. I mean, like, and not only that, a lot of these spiritual systems were more based on a community. They wasn't even based on, you know, having a literal actual God there. It was all more metaphorical for them. You know what I mean? For some of these systems. So yeah, I don't even disagree with you there. I've always said if we're going to believe in something, make sure it looks like us. Now, when it comes to the Hebrew Israelites, my only issue with them is that they're kind of appropriating a whole nother culture. We're not from there. You know what I'm saying? Like we're from Africa. So I would say like let's keep on to ours. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I agree with you there, man. If we're gonna believe, let's believe in our own thing. We don't need to take up anybody else's. But I do feel that. I'm not even gonna give you any pushback because I've said the same thing. I agree with you. You feel?
Yeah, man. I did have some questions for the Mormon kid. That would have been. I mean,
I didn't know you had questions from. I would have kept them here. Yeah. Remember when I was growing up in McAllen, right? There was a Mormon church right down the block from me. Remember that?
Yeah. I used to play basketball there all the time.
Yeah. There was a Mormon church right there, man. And there was a girl who went there, but she used to always like act super weird around me. And I used to always wonder why. And that's when I moved back to Miami, that's when I figured out, oh, Mormons used to believe this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Like, okay, she must have been more fundamentalist than the mainstream ones. You feel me?
Yeah. Some weird stuff happened. I mean, and like I remember I was approached by this girl. This was like that's when I first started going to college there, and she was actually no, it was like senior year. Actually, no, it was like senior year of high school. I remember this girl. She came up to me and then she was just like kind of like really sad and kind of like buried in tears. And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry for being all racist and stuff. I didn't know about all this stuff." Like she was just like apologizing for like all the racism and stuff. I thought that was wow. I was like, dang, I never even thought about it that way. But there's a lot of things I'm pretty sure you start to recognize later on in life.
Yeah.
It's like you did I noticed certain racist stuff, but you don't realize like, man, everything was racist.
Bro, when we was living, I didn't realize how racist it was until I came back to Florida. I was like, bro, she was racist over there as hell, bro. She was racist as hell over there. We didn't even notice. You know, we 12, bro. We not gonna notice this shit. Oh, for everybody to get context, me and Mega, like we went to middle school together when I was living in Texas for a few years. And man, back then we didn't notice a lot of racist shit, but there was some shit that he did notice. Because people used to always come up to me like, yo, your homie Cameron got into it with this person. I'm like, what happened? Whenever somebody go to me like, yeah, I punched this guy in the face. I'm like, what happened, bro? He said something racist. And I'm like, shit.
When they played what was it? Roots?
Yeah, they played Roots in school.
That was the worst. It was the worst time, bro. Yeah, that's why I after that, I started realizing, or not quite after that, but that was part of the reason I started realizing, actually, all these slave movies, even like, I mean, I like the movie Django, but even like, we just shouldn't have movies about slavery because it's like porn for them, right? Because it's like, to them, it's like, it's like, I want to be this, and here's a movie that lets me live that out vicariously, right?
Trauma porn.
Wait, I don't understand that take. What do you mean?
Basically what we're talking about is black trauma porn, right? Where movies that involve black people or mostly black people always involve either slavery or a history of racism and oppression. It's basically trauma porn. We're always having movies about that, right? And besides Black Panther, have you ever seen a movie about black people, like, you know, fighting dragons or some cool shit like that? You almost never see that. All our movies about, you know, the hood, trauma, and racism. It's tiring. You feel me?
What about like Falcon Winter Soldier, like the Disney Plus?
That was good. Yeah. I mean, that
was a good show.
Like
the TV show was really good.
Yeah.
Now,
but I guess that's kind of in the same vein as like Black Panther because it's Marvel.
Yeah, but now Mega is way more into comics than I am. He knows a lot of the history of this stuff. But when it comes to Captain Falcon, right, the only thing that always kind of bothers me is if he's not going to take the super soldier serum, how come they don't give him a super suit like the way they give to Iron Man? I never understood that. I mean, it's like in some of the comics he could have gotten the serum, but he didn't take it. And it's like, okay, so give the man a super suit. Like, what's going on with that? How come the writers never bring that up?
But even like Black Panther and like that show dealt with racism.
It did.
So,
It did.
Yeah.
They, I mean, when you look at in that series, one of the things is they kind of did like I guess the Tuskegee Airman was part of the thing. Remember there was that old guy who got the super serum because he was like a test subject, etc. But they don't acknowledge him, so they still kind of like it's not. I mean, they don't go out
and that show even like Sam's family, like they experienced like racism in like the banking industry, right? Like I'm pretty sure that was a plot point.
Yeah, they hint at it. They hint very strongly at it.
Yeah,
they don't like, oh, hey, we don't give out to, it's like the word urban, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a hint. Yeah, I mean, it's not all the way there, but yeah, man, like I do be wondering. Like, I mean, us living in this Western society, being a Black person is political, right? Like our existence is political here, but I would like to see much more of our movies. Like, for example, the Epic of Mawendo. Right now, Christopher Nolan is working on the Odyssey, right? And the Odyssey, I want to see that. It's going to be amazing because Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors. So I want to see the Odyssey.
Incredible.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's amazing. Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah. But I would love to see, him work on something like the Epic of Mawendo. The Epic of Mawendo, if you read it, it's an African story. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, this kid. He was born with the power to walk. His father wanted to take him out. He had to go to the underworld. He fought a dragon. He fought the sun. Like, it's an amazing story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to see that either, Disney make a movie out of that, or, someone like Ryan Coogler or Christopher Nolan work on it. You know what I mean? But we never see that. I want to see Ryan Coogler make a movie about the Haitian Revolution. That would be amazing. You know what I'm saying? So like there are way more stories out there that we just don't get.
A movie on the Haitian Revolution would go crazy. That would be really interesting.
Man.
I would only want it if they added supernatural elements. Because they need to just add supernatural elements. It could be like the Haitian Revolution, but like some of the people have magic. That would be freaking awesome.
That would. What was that show?
Cool, but I don't even think you need to do that. Like the Haitian Revolution on its own is like incredible.
Yeah, on its own is already incredible. But like I would love to see an anime made out of it. But I think they did that at Castlevania, right? Doing on Netflix.
I don't
know.
Oh yeah, I didn't see Castlevania. Okay, Castlevania. I
saw the first two parts.
Okay, yeah. In Netflix, they had Castlevania, and they did bring up the Haitian Revolution. There was some supernatural stuff on it, but yeah, I would love for an anime remix of the Haitian Revolution. That would be amazing. Yeah, I mean that would be dope. Nat Turner's Rebellion too. That would be dope to have it as a.
You should do like a mini series on that.
Mini series on that would be
yeah, for sure.
Because I think that's what they want to do with Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country was going to be that in season 2, but that got canceled. I don't know why still, but. That'd have been amazing. But yeah, right now we're just shooting the shit, guys. There's no more guests. I'm gonna get out of here soon. I
did want to talk about the God thing. Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, your thing is atheism is unstoppable, but
yeah, but I kind of want to just play like devil's advocate, like talk a little metaphysics. Is that cool?
I gotta tell two devil's advocate, man. I want someone who actually genuinely believes it. Yeah, if I was that, so you don't have to necessarily be devil advocate. Yeah, but
all right, that's fine.
No, it's all good. Let's keep shooting the shit because I'm gonna get out of here in about a few minutes anyway. Like when this, hold on, there we go. When this goes down to 0, I'm gonna get out of here. But yeah, check out Castlevania on Netflix. Really, really good. They mentioned the Haitian Revolution has mystical stuff in there. I heard Pandora was really good too. I gotta check that out. Our Pandora was really good. And if y'all haven't yet, Seth MacFarlane actually did make a good show called The Orville. It's on Disney Plus. It actually is a good show. I ain't gonna lie. It's actually good. It's Star Trek, but it's his version of Star Trek, which is good. It's pretty funny.
I like Seth MacFarlane. He's cool.
Yeah. Seth is cool. My bad, Mega. Go ahead.
I hate to be this, but like. Man, we don't have too much time, but like, I don't like the Orville, and because I am a little bit of a conspiracy theorist on this, but they like doing weird stuff with black characters.
Yo, Mega. Like me and wifey were talking about this the other day. She says that she likes the show, but what they're doing with the black characters is so weird. Like you see John Lamar,
you guys
right?
fill me in? I'm kind of
okay. So in the Orville is basically like his ode to Star Trek. Basically, it's his version of Star Trek. The Orville is about a future society, stuff like that. Now, there's black characters in the show. There's John Lamar, who's like a playboy genius, basically. Yeah, he's basically Tony Stark of this world. There's Dr. Claire Finn, and she is a black woman, but she's also a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
And John Lamar, who's a black man, he's a genius and everything like that, but he's also a playboy. Yeah, I mean, he's like basically smashing everybody on the ship. Stereotypical. And not only that, there is a species in the show, which is an all-male species called the Mocklins. And the actors who play them are also black, you know what I mean? Because the Mocklins have very dark skin. So all the actors who play the Mocklins are black people, right? The issue is that number one, it's an all-male species, so they're very, very chauvinistic, right? But the second problem is that you run into the issue of like people always say how Disney movies, in order for them to connect with a black character, Disney always turns them into animals or something otherworldly. Hollywood constantly, exactly, exactly, like the movie Soul. You know what I mean? Like, like Hollywood does this a lot. In order for them to connect with the black person, they make them animals or otherworldly. And here we have another issue of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. You know?
I guess maybe, perhaps. I think intent matters for sure. I mean, I don't want to prescribe intent on like people who like don't deserve it. Yeah. But I get what you're saying though. It's like switch it up a little bit. Like try not doing like be aware. Mm-hmm. Like as a white person, be aware of what you're doing.
Be aware, exactly. What is that what you're gonna say as well, Megan?
Well, I all those things. One extra things that I notice is that they like to double up when it comes to their minorities, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of shows, it'll be like, we need a gay character, we need a black character, we need a woman. Oh, a gay black woman. Ding, ding, ding. All three.
Yeah.
So I feel like, if you have a cast and it's got four, like if 25% of the cast was full of like LGBT characters or like, a gay or a lesbian, etc., all those things. Sorry if I don't know all the terms. I apologize for that. It would be weird, but it's never an issue when it's like you have several shows and it's like, okay, 50% of the male characters or the black characters are gay, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't have that much like representation, so they're like, well, we're gonna have to do this. So it's like shows like True Blood. There's like 3 black people in there, and one of them's a gay guy, right? And
we got. Sorry, can I say one real? Because the clock's winding down. I just have a question for the host. Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Amazing. Love Breaking Bad.
Great show, dude.
I haven't seen Better Call Saul yet.
I'm watching Better Call Saul right now.
I heard it's so good. I heard Better Call Saul is so good. I gotta watch that. I gotta watch that. Say I'm bringing you off just for a little bit. I'm about to go a little bit.
Have you seen El Camino?
I saw like a part of it, then I fell asleep, and by the time I went back to it, it was off of Netflix. I was so pissed, but I'm gonna try to get to El Camino. Satan, how's it going, bro?
What's up, man? I heard you were talking about TV shows, and I was like, I need to join.
Shit, because we don't have any more guests. Y'all, if y'all still want to join, go ahead. I'll give y'all a few minutes, but right now we're just shooting this shit before I get out of here. But yeah, I do hope for season 4 of the Orville though, Satan. Like it's because I've been rewatching it. It's amazing.
I keep hearing because it came out. When was the last season? Like 3 or 4 years ago. Like the last time it came out. Mm-hmm. And I keep looking every couple months. I'm like, any word on the 4th season? Like, hey, did we start filming yet? Did they get approved? Mm-hmm. And I keep hearing mixed messages. Them saying, oh yeah, we did approve for a 4th season, or hey, that was just a rumor, we never actually did it, or they were like, well, the creative director is focusing on other projects at the moment. I'm like, motherfucker, you left us on a cliffhanger. You need to finish this shit.
Yeah, man. I'm just waiting for season 4. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. But if my bad, y'all. I was just reading an email. But yeah, I'm just waiting on season 4. We'll see what's gonna happen with that. What I've been watching also is, I don't know if you guys have Apple TV, but For All Mankind, amazing show. For All Mankind is based in a universe where the USSR actually won the space race. They won the race to the moon. So because of that, America put in basically all of its efforts into winning the space race, basically. And because of that, we actually reached Mars in the 1990s. Amazing show. Yeah, I gotta watch it. It's right now on. It's on season 5 right now. It's really good. So if you guys want something to watch, you have Apple TV. For All Mankind is amazing. Severance. That's another one. That's amazing. I don't know.
I've heard that's good.
Yeah, Severance is really good.
It's what's his name? What's the guy who made its name?
Ben Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller. There we go. He's really good. I like Ben Stiller.
Did you ever hear the show? I think it's called C. Have you ever heard of that?
I heard C is good. I've heard C is very good. Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. Yeah. I watched the first episode. I'm like, I'm in. I'm 100% in. I was like, blind. The entire world goes blind except for these 5 kids, and now the blind world is trying to find these 5 kids, and they don't have firearms. It's like post-apocalyptic, but also prehistoric. I'm like, oh, I'm in. You just see Jason Momoa fuck people up.
I do have a question for the host, because I have live access, but how do you create backgrounds for TikTok Live?
Oh, I'm actually using my my StreamYard for this. You can use your phone, but I have the TikTok Studio. Well, TikTok Studio, okay. you can do it. And what I did with TikTok Studio is that I'm actually mirroring my screen over on my StreamYard, basically. So this is basically my computer. Yeah, I mean, like hold on, let me see if I can move this around. See how it's moving around? This is basically my computer. So that's what I'm doing with it. So yeah, it's cool thing to use. Like the TikTok Studio is cool, but that's how I use it. Or you can use your phone. What I do is, I have prompts on Canva, and I just do that. Hold on, guys.
Canva's an app.
Yeah, Canva is an app. It's a website. And there is something that you got to pay like $15 a month, because everything is subscription based now. Because Jesus Christ, you know what I mean. Hold on, yeah. I think we have one last person named Steez. Steez says, if you don't believe in God, what do you believe the origin of it all? Anyone want to answer?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. Bring him on up.
Yeah, we'll see if Steez wants to come up. If he doesn't, then I guess you could just answer him in the comments. He said he's not trying to debate. He just wants to. Ask.
Okay, what was the question then?
His question is, if you don't believe in God, what do you believe the origin of it all?
Okay. So I guess I just would say the universe has always been here. Like that for me. That's the most sufficient answer for me. And to be honest, I could just flip it back on you. Where did God come from? It's just an infinite regression no matter what. If you're going to say God has always been there, then why couldn't it be any different from the universe? And then usually they just special plead to God. So, I mean.
Yeah, God is special somehow. But I do agree with that. What do you say, Satan?
I say, honestly, who the fuck cares? I don't give a shit about the origin of the universe. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really.
In my atheist tendencies, it doesn't do anything. The only people who think about this shit are people who constantly have the debate about the origin of the universe. It doesn't make a difference. I'm still not going to believe in your God. I don't know what the origin of the universe is. I don't. And I don't care. I want to talk about the here and now. I don't give a shit what happened 13 billion years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I agree with that. Even if we do give the universe a specific origin point, that doesn't necessarily mean that what caused it is a God. But I would also say that the hot dense state, for somehow, we don't know what it is yet, but it was likely always here. You know what I mean? So, and if we're gonna say that, just like how Unstoppable was saying, we can say the same thing for the God, right? If we ask where the God come from, if God was always here, we can say the same thing with the universe. The universe was always here, and somehow, some fashion, We just don't understand it yet. But hey, guys, I do appreciate y'all, but I am gonna go ahead and get out of here. Been on for about 2 hours. Gonna spend some time with wifey. Yeah, definitely come back tomorrow. Okay, give me a follow. Drop me a follow. We're gonna come back tomorrow. Same subject.
You. Can you drop me a follow? I'm trying to get more followers.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop you a follow, and once I get off, I'll do my phone. No problem. And Satan,
just because you asked, I'm not doing it.
I didn't ask you, buddy. But
hey, Daddy Satan.
Saying I'm giving you a follow. Real quick.
Good.
What's up, man?
Daddy said, I promise, bro, we're gonna get on a live together one day. I promise, man. I'm gonna figure it out, bro. One of these days I'll be off and I'll jump on it. I promise. We'll figure it out one day.
The days I saw it, like the day I was able to come up, you were doing the it was the question, black people shouldn't be Christian / Muslim, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the one white dude who tries to get on that panel.
Yeah, hey, yo, Dougal does white people shouldn't be Christian. You have ever been on that panel?
Yeah, my question would be, no one should be this shit. None of it makes any fucking sense.
Yeah, man, but whenever someone asks me that, I'm like, yeah, white people shouldn't be Christian either. Yeah, I mean, I think Italians should go back to Roman paganism. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Irish.
Man, I'm Italian. Mm-hmm. Don't give the Italians that idea because they'll start conquering shit again. Don't give them that idea.
I got you, man. Hey, yo, Mega, I'm gonna drop you a follow again. I'm not sure if I'm following, but I'm definitely drop you a follow, and we'll talk more, man. I don't know if you ever do lives on anything else.
Not even.
But yeah, man, me Mega used to battle too, so maybe you could just start doing lives on watching battles again. Maybe we'll get it we'll get that popping because battle rap is not in a good space right now, bro. It's not a good space right now.
For sure. There's you're doing the atheist meetup thing. Aren't you? Is it something in June or something?
It's in June. You still in Florida, bro?
Yeah. We
got a link, man. I'm in Central Florida now.
Yeah, man. I've been trying to, man. You don't answer your phone, dog.
Yeah,
I think I have your number somewhere. I haven't been reaching out, but I was thinking, man, I'll show up to that atheist thing or whatever.
Yeah, show up. It's in my bio. All right. But hey, guys, let me go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate y'all, though. All right, y'all have a good night, though.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
You too. All right, guys. As always, hang out. As always, end off. Be soft.